For more, let's bring in retired Navy SEAL Mike Sarraille. Mike, welcome.
Thanks, Mike.
So as a former Navy SEAL, what impressed you most about this mission?
Well, I'll tell you what, if this doesn't make you proud as an American of the U.S. military, I don't know what is. But this raid combined air dominance, intelligence mastery, and special operations precision to seize Nicolas Maduro. Now, this will go down as one of the most historic high-risk capture and extraction raids that will be memorialized in military doctrine. It was a JSOC-led operation with full joint and interagency support, but at the level of risk and required precision, there's only really 2 units in the United States that can pull this mission off. And of course, we know Delta Force was in the lead with the support of the 75th Ranger Regiment, and of course, the TF-160th, the Special Operations Aviation Regiment, known as the Night Stalkers. I would say this, the Ranger Regiment was most likely fighting the external fight as an isolation and containment force, while Delta focused on the actual raid itself. But the limited time they spent on the ground just shows elite military planning and just disciplined execution. We should be wildly proud of our American forces for what just happened this last Friday night.
Amen. I want to play a clip for you from a retired Delta Force member, and then I'll get your reaction to it.
The guys on the ground, the unit is more polished now than ever. You know, the war on terror ushered in the Americas being able to use a ground force like nobody's used in history, I think. I'd also say that these guys plan for this, they train for this. Basically, they spend their whole adult lives for this one mission to get here. And I think it's just fantastic for all the boys and the guys that pulled this off. I couldn't be prouder of them.
Months of planning and rehearsal. Is there a level of intensity when you're practicing, knowing that when the order is given, it's going to be a particularly challenging assignment?
It is, and you know that, and you sort of block out everything else to include your immediate family. When you have a mission tasking and you're fully focused, that's all that matters at the time. I think the real story here is the amount of preparation and intelligence actually won this fight before they even stepped on the battlefield. That doesn't take away from the bravery that these men demonstrated on the battlefield. But this was a months-long intelligence campaign. You had interagency cooperation. You had intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets that built a pattern of life on Maduro. And that's the difficult part. To a point where we fix him to a compound where JSOC felt confident in their ability to successfully complete the operation. But operations of this magnitude and what John McPhee was referring to require constant rehearsals. And while you're doing that, you make revisions to the plan, which leads to more rehearsals and ultimately a lot of contingency planning because you don't know what's going to happen on the ground. You want the force to be confident in their ability to handle whatever obstacle may be thrown at them. And again, you go in with the best plan, but we used to say in the military, the enemy gets a vote. And so that's always the X factor you've got to be prepared for. You know, what was impressive, and I'll bring this up, we saw some pre-assault fires, which is sort of remnant of a shock and awe campaign. And really those pre-assault fires serve 2 purposes. One, they cleared the air corridors by eliminating defense or air defense threats that could be threatening to the assault force, either on infill or exfil. But what was beautiful here was it caused strategic confusion. The Venezuelan force didn't know if this was a large-scale assault on the country or a precision raid. And when the enemy defends everywhere, they defend nowhere.
Mike, what's it like when you're one of the special operators going into the room, the unknown factor, your adrenaline has to be flying, your heart pumping? What's it like?
Well, Mike, that speaks to the professionalism of JSOC forces. These are traditionally older soldiers. They are the best. They are the most lethal warriors in the world, but they also show restraint. This was a capture extraction mission. So, you know, they've got to take that into account, and they're putting their lives at risk to make sure that they capture Maduro and they don't eliminate him, because that would have repercussions on the world stage. But you are focused on the mission, and the mission takes priority. And you really don't relax until you arrive, from what we're told, back on the Iwo Jima with your target in hand. And that's when you sort of come out of that high, that focus, and you can take a breath of fresh air.
We've gotten spoiled in recent months over these high-risk operations to go after the Iranian nuclear sites and then this extraction of Nicolas Maduro. But the consequences of failure are huge. What about that?
Yeah, you think back to Operation Eagle Claw, the failed rescue attempt of the U.S. hostages in Iran, and what that shows on a world stage. You know, failure has serious implications again on the world stage. But again, I think if there's anything to take away from this, it shows that the U.S. military does not have a rival in this world right now. While China may have technology, they may have numbers. Tell me the last time China executed a raid of this magnitude, or that their soldiers were in sustained combat. We have the most technologically advanced force, and they are seasoned by real combat. And those lessons learned prepare them for any fight, anywhere, any place, against any enemy. And that's truly what makes the U.S. military the most elite and special.
Making us proud. Mike Sarraille, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for your analysis today.
Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.